Welcome, 8th graders, to the 9th grade presentation. What we're going to do today is help you guys choose your classes for 9th grade and talk about some general high school information so you guys can make good, well-informed decisions. My name is Miss McCoy, and I'm one of the counselors at North Campus. We've got Miss Campo and Miss Cruel, also counselors at North Campus. There are 3 of us. So based on whatever your last name starts with, we'll determine who becomes your counselor, and we'll help you throughout your year at North Campus. Because we don't have a lot of time, we're going to go ahead and jump in and get started. The first thing we want to go over are the things that you need in order to graduate from high school. But understand, as we start talking about this stuff, these courses are to be done over a 4-year period of time. You're not going to try to get all this into your 9th grade schedule, okay? So we're thinking bigger picture here. So to begin, English, you need 4 full credits of English to graduate. In this sense, credits and years mean the same thing because you will need 4 years of English to graduate. We call them credits because you need to earn 4 credits. In order to earn a credit, you have to pass the class with at least a 70 or above at the end of the year in order to earn the credit for a particular year-long class. So for English, you need 4 credits. You're going to have an English 1 class in 9th grade, English 2 in 10th grade, English 3 in 11th grade, and English 4 your senior year. That's how you're going to earn your 4 English credits. Obviously, you have to pass all of those to get the credit. Math, 4 credits, same thing. Science, you need 4 credits, and social studies or history, you need 4 credits in order to graduate. The state, in addition to what we call the 4 cores, English, history, math, and science, requires 1 year of a PE class in order to graduate. That 1 year of PE can be done in 9th grade, 10th grade, 11th grade. You just need 1 year. Once you've completed that 1 year, you're done with that requirement and you don't have to take another one. Unless you're involved in something like athletics or something that you want to continue to be involved in, because we do encourage involvement. Let's say you're in athletics, and you're in athletics all 4 years. You will get 4 PE credits, which is okay. You only need 1 to graduate, but if you earn 4, they still count towards the total that you need to graduate, the total credits. In addition to PE, you need 1 year of a fine arts credit to graduate. You also need 2 years of a foreign language in order to graduate. It does have to be the same language. Then you need 4 credits of endorsement electives. I'm sure that your junior high counselors have talked to you about endorsements and that sort of thing, but basically, endorsement electives, basically what that means is it's a career pathway of 4 classes. So let's say you want to be a nurse. You're going to have a nursing class in 9th grade, a nursing class in 10th grade, a nursing class in 11th, and a nursing class in 12th grade. That makes up your 4 credits or your 4 courses for an endorsement pathway. So that's essentially what it is. It's a career pathway. The last thing, you need 2 elective credits. Those are just classes that you get to choose, that you like. It can be from anything that we offer, and it's whatever you're interested in. You get a couple of classes of your choice. So all these things are to be completed over a 4-year period of time in order to graduate. So we want to talk a little bit more beyond the 4 core classes. We told you that you needed 1 year of a fine arts course in order to graduate. Examples of fine arts courses at North Campus would be things such as art, band, color guard, choir, orchestra, theater arts or tech theater, some theater classes. You only need 1 year to graduate. However, if you really enjoy fine arts, we highly recommend you stick with the fine arts program all 4 years, whether it's band, choir, or any of those things mentioned. So once you stick with that over 4 years, you will earn 4 credits for fine arts. And that's okay. You only need 1 to graduate, but if you earn 4, they count towards your total credits you need to graduate. PE. You only need 1 credit of PE to graduate, but like I mentioned earlier, if you happen to be in athletics, we encourage you to stick with a particular program all 4 years, get involved in something. If you do that, you'll end up with 4 PE credits, but you only need 1 to graduate. If PE isn't your thing, then you can, at North, choose to take a dance class for 1 year. Team sports is PE. ROTC is military stuff. If you do band at least 2 years, that gives you a full PE credit. And then we mentioned athletics. Those are your PE options at North Campus. In terms of foreign language, you do need 2 years of a foreign language in order to graduate. It does have to be the same language. Level 1, Level 2 of the same language. You couldn't do like Spanish 1 and French 1. So it has to be 2 years of the same language. Your options, Spanish, French, German, computer science. We want to say caution you in one area with computer science. That will get you your 2 years of foreign language for high school graduation. Universities want you to have 2 years of a foreign language, most of them, when you go to get admitted to that university. Some universities do not recognize computer science as a foreign language. So you may want to check into the universities in which you're interested in attending to see if they will accept computer science as a foreign language. Because what happens if they don't and you get to college, they're going to make you take 2 years of a foreign language in college. It's going to be easier to knock it out in high school than to actually have to take it at the college level. So that, we just want to provide you with that information so you can do some checking if you need to. So those are the additional requirements beyond the cores that are required to graduate. Now let's look back at the cores for your 9th grade year. English, you have 2 options, guys. You can go English 1 or Pre-AP English 1. Pre-AP being an honors version of a class. When you take a Pre-AP class, you need to be really, really motivated to do the work because the curriculum is a little bit harder. There's more work expected in class, outside of class, more homework, more possible independent projects, group projects, that kind of thing. But the good thing about that is the honors level classes are on a higher grade point scale, which in turn can get you a higher class rank. We're going to talk about that in a minute because that's probably a new concept for some of you, but that's how honors classes are going to help you. So you will be able to choose English 1 or Pre-AP English 1. The next core class is math. Depending on where you are right now on your math track will depend on which math you choose, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. Science, you have 2 options. IPC, which stands for Intro to Physics and Chemistry, basically, or Biology Pre-AP, and we'll help you make that choice. Social Studies, basically history. You see you have quite a few options there. World Geography or World History are your regular options. If you're not interested in doing any kind of Pre-AP or honors class, you can choose World Geography or World History. The basic difference between the two is World Geography is more about locations, people, cultures, that kind of thing. Where World History is more about historical events, dates, things of that nature. So whichever one sounds more interesting to you would be the one that you would choose. If you want to challenge yourself, we do offer World Geography Pre-AP. We don't offer Pre-AP World History, but if you want to challenge yourself, you could take Pre-AP World Geography. Beyond that, you notice there's a class up there called AP Human Geography. I want to explain the difference to you between the Pre-AP and AP classes. Pre-AP or Pre-Advanced Placement classes. The word AP stands for Advanced Placement. They prepare you to do well and go into the actual AP class. AP standing for Advanced Placement. If you sign up for AP Human Geography, that is a college level course. AP classes are college level courses. I want you to understand one thing about taking an AP class. Just because you pass the AP Human Geography class at the end of the year does not mean you get college credit for it. You get high school credit for it, but that doesn't dictate whether you get college credit. The way you earn college credit for an AP class is at the very end of the year in the AP class you will take an AP test, an Advanced Placement exam. Your score on that exam will determine whether you get college credit for that class. Different universities have different scores they expect, so depending on how you score, will determine whether that university is going to give you credit for that class. The main thing we want you to know is that if you sign up for an AP class, you are expected to take the AP test at the end of the year. The AP test is going to cost you some money. It's less than $100. I think it's about $85, somewhere around in there. The reason it costs money is because if you do well on that test and you get college credit for it, you already have some college hours, and you're not even in college yet. It costs you that amount of money to take the test, but if you were to go to a college and sign up for human geography, you would pay a couple of $100 for that course at least. So you can take a test and potentially earn college credit for it. But no, if you sign up for an AP class, you are expected to take the AP exam at the end of the year. Okay? So those are your 4 core areas. From there, you hear me talk a lot about credits and earning credits. The way you earn a credit is at the end of the year in a year-long class, you have to have at least a 70 or above average in each one of your classes. So guys, y'all are going to have 7 classes next year. If you have a 70 or above average in each of those classes, how many credits do you think you're going to earn? 7, exactly. So you'll have 7 credits at the end of your 9th grade year. Credits add up each year. So obviously, ideally, we want you to earn all 7 credits. There is an opportunity to take what we call a flex class. A flex class is a 0-hour class. It's a class that happens before first period. Your hours at the high school are going to be 8:45 to 4. If you take a flex class, it begins prior to first period. You take that class all year, Monday through Thursday, and at the end of your year, if you pass everything with a 70 or above, you will have earned 8 credits. Most kiddos take flex classes if they need additional room in their 7-period day. Because let's say, for example, you want to take band off 4 years and you want to take art off 4 years, but you're having problems fitting maybe some of your other classes in that you want to take. So you can take one of the classes out of your 7-period day, move it up to flex, and that opens up a spot in your 7-period day. That's why most kiddos take flex, if they need more room during the school day to take what they want to take. We don't really recommend you just go and take a flex class just for the fun of it, because think about it. If you do that, you're taking 8 classes a year, while your counterparts, maybe you're just taking 7 classes, and if you're only having to focus on 7 classes, you can do better with your grades not having to focus on that extra class. But I'm not telling you you can't take a flex class, because you can take a flex class anytime you want. We're just giving you information so that you can make them informed choices in the choice that works best for you. Okay, so that's what flex classes are about. The flex classes are not available yet, the information's not out, but as soon as it comes out, your junior high counselor is going to provide you that information. So another thing about high school is that the curriculum gets a little bit harder. It's more rigorous. So some of you may need to get tutoring next year. We want you to know there are opportunities available for that. Every Monday through Thursday, your teachers offer morning tutoring from 8 to 8:40. If you can't make it in the mornings, then in the afternoons, Monday through Thursday from 4 to 5 after school in our Success Center, you can get tutoring and you can get help. If you have a ride home, great. If you don't, we have a late bus that will take you home. So if you guys need tutoring or extra help throughout the year, that's how you're going to get it. Okay? Your total credits determine your grade level. Okay? So like I mentioned earlier, credits add up each year. So you have to earn, at the end of your 9th grade year, you have to have earned at least 5 of your 7 credits in order to move on as a 10th grader to South. Okay? You have to, after 2 years of high school, earn at least 12 credits to move on to be a junior. At the end of 3 years of high school, you have to earn at least 19 credits to be classified as a senior. And then you need 26 total credits to graduate. And remember, you have to pass your classes to earn your credits. Now, there may be some situations where some of you may be elementary, junior high, for whatever reason, you didn't pass your classes, you weren't making some good choices, but you got passed on to the next grade anyway. That happens. It's called social promotion, because we can't have kids who are, for example, 15 years old in 6th grade or 5th grade, right? So you keep getting moved on. We want you to know that that stops when you get to high school, because high school starting in 9th grade becomes about credits. So technically, you could get older, keep getting older. You could be 20 years old and still be a 9th grader, guys, if you don't earn your credits. We want you to know that. You spend 186 days in each one of these year-long classes. We want you to come in and do it right the first time. Okay? Earn your credits. If for some reason you don't earn 5 credits next year, let's say you come in, you make some choices that aren't so good, and you only end up with 4 credits. Let's say, for example, you fail your English class. Generally, what's going to happen is you're going to be back for one of your periods at North Campus with the current 7th grade class. And then after you're working on that class at North Campus, you're going to travel to South Campus to work on your 10th grade classes. So you would have, if English is what you didn't pass in 9th grade, you're going to be redoing English at the 9th grade campus, but you're also going to be doing English 2 at South. You're going to have 2 English classes. Folks, you don't want to set yourself up like that. It's hard enough to do 1 English class. And like I mentioned earlier, you spend 186 days in each one of those classes. We want you to do it right the first time so that you can move on and stay up with your class. But the main thing we wanted you to know is that credits determine grade level and that the credits add up each year. And I mentioned earlier, you heard me talk about GPA and class rank, okay? That starts the beginning of your 9th grade year. The main thing we want you to remember is that if you take a regular class, it's not pre-AP or AP, it's going to be on a 4-point scale. Pre-AP or honors classes are on a 5-point scale. AP dual credit classes, which are college level classes, are on a 6-point scale. So the bottom line is this, and what we want you to know. The more challenging classes you take, that you do well in, the higher you're going to be ranked in your class. So next year, all 4 junior highs are going to end up on the North Campus. That's over 1,000 kiddos. Okay? At the end of first semester of your 9th grade year, when y'all leave for Christmas, we're going to calculate your grade point averages and class rank. Sometime in February, we're going to give you a little slip of paper that has your GPA and class rank on it. The person with the very best grades out of all 1,000 kiddos is going to be ranked number 1. The person with the second best grades is going to be ranked number 2. Okay? And so on down. The person with the worst grades is going to be ranked number 1,123. However many kids are in the class. So everybody's class rank goes based on how well you do in your classes. The more upper level classes you take and you do well in them, the higher your class rank. You get a lot of good opportunities out of having a good class rank. You can get potential scholarships for college, free monies to go to school, honors, awards, that sort of thing come out of a high GPA and class rank. So there's quite a few reasons why a high class rank can be helpful to you. Okay? The final thing that I need to discuss with you is we talked about the foundation, the classes that you have to take in order to graduate. On top of those, you need to pass 5 STAR tests. The top row of STAR tests, depending on your situation, you will take 1, 2, or 3 of those STAR tests next year, just depending on your individual situation. English 2 is 10th grade. U.S. History is a STAR test you take in 11th grade. You don't need to remember when you're supposed to take those. We just want you to understand that you have to take 5 STAR tests in order to graduate, and those will happen throughout high school. So at this point, that's all I have for my part. I do want to turn it over to Ms. Campo at this point. She's going to talk a little bit more about endorsement, elective, and pathways for you. Okay?
Okay. So, I know you're all aware of all the different endorsements that we have, so I'll just review over them. We have our arts and humanities, business and industry, public service, STEM, and multidisciplinary. And I believe that y'all took a survey that told you which endorsement would be probably best for you, and y'all took a snapshot of it. So do most of y'all remember what your endorsement is? Okay. Well, if you don't, no problem, because I'm going to go through them, and maybe once I explain what each one is, that'll give you a refresher on which one that fits you the best. Okay, our first one is the arts and humanities. So if you are a student that you know all 4 years, you might want to take your band, your orchestra, theater, dance, arts, choir, or 4 years of a foreign language. If you fall into that category, then you will automatically have an endorsement in arts and humanities. Okay? Raise your hand if you think you might do one of those all 4 years. Okay. All right, so just know, and you could get more than one endorsement, but that's how you get arts and humanities. Our next one is business and industry. This one is our largest endorsement. It has the most electives in that area. Some examples, there's a lot more, but just some examples, like the culinary program. If you're interested in cooking, we have a great program for that. If you're interested in agriculture, if you want to raise an animal, be a part of FFA, that would be a great class to take. We also have like your welding and construction. Those fall under business and industry. Photography or broadcast journalism, that's business and industry. Working on cars, computers, all of those would fall under the business and industry. And you don't have to get it out, but I did want to refer, but you don't have to get it out. This is a list of all of our endorsements and all of the pathways and classes that you could take for each endorsement. We will go over it more in just a little bit, but I wanted to show you, look how many are under your business and industry. Lots and lots of different choices, okay? And I do want to mention one more thing. When you are trying to decide on which endorsement you want to take, I highly encourage you to go to our elective fair that we're going to have at South Campus this Thursday, okay? You will have the opportunity to go. It's in the mall area, that big hallway in the middle. Every teacher who teaches every one of these classes will be there, and they're going to be set up at a table, and you're going to be able to talk to that teacher. You'll have a chance to ask, what are you doing here? Or I'm more interested in this. What do you recommend? Or that teacher may teach something else. You're like, no, this would be a better fit for you, okay? So take advantage of that. They'll have like little samples of what they do throughout the year. And then also this presentation here, we're also going to have it at 6 o'clock on Thursday for your parents, or if you need to hear it again as well. So take advantage of that. It will really help when you're choosing your endorsement. Okay, the next one is our public service. And you can kind of think of this endorsement as any career where you are helping others, okay? So we have, of course, our first responders, our police officers, firefighters. Any of those would fall under public service. The medical field, that is a broad, broad field. You could go from, your doctors to your nurses to your therapists, counselors, anything that would work in a doctor's office, hospital, any type of facility. So lots and lots and lots of options for that. Then this is just another example. Any career working with children, like being a teacher, you would pick public service. And then of course the military, like if you were interested in ROTC or some law classes, you would be under public service, okay? The next one is STEM. Raise your hand if you are already taking either Algebra 1 or IPC. Are any of you in here doing that? Okay, so we have one. Because if that's you, then you are already on track to get a STEM endorsement, because one way to do that, the science and math, if you have 5 years of either your science or math, then you automatically get a STEM endorsement. So most of you, that's not for you, but if you're interested in technology or engineering, you can still take classes and get a STEM endorsement for that. Okay, any of you in AVID right now? Okay. If you are a student who you think you're going to take AVID, and even if you're not in AVID right now, you could still definitely apply and take it in high school. But if you did that all 4 years, that would fall under the multidisciplinary. Or if you do an athletic class all 4 years, that would fall under multidisciplinary. Or say, I'm just not really sure what I want, because how old are y'all right now? 13, 14. So, it's hard to know what you want. Even as young adults, we still don't know what we want. So that's okay. We're here to encourage you to explore different career choices, or if you know for sure you want something like public service, the medical field, then we're gonna say, hey, these are the classes you need to take. But that's not all of us, and that's totally fine. So if you decide, well, you know what, I'm gonna try some teaching classes first, and you get in there and you're like, yeah, I don't think teaching is what I'm gonna enjoy, then you might wanna think, oh, okay, I'm gonna try the health field. I'll take a class, medical terminology, to learn about that. So if that is you, by the time your senior year, your counselor is gonna look at all the elective choices you took, and if you don't have those 4 electives in that one certain endorsement, we're gonna put you in multidisciplinary, okay? And all of the endorsements are equal. It's not one is better than the other. It's just where you're gonna fall with the classes you take, okay? And then, just to kind of summarize everything that you need to graduate, we take the cupcake as a visual, and the foundation, the cake part, these are all of the classes that Ms. McCoy just talked about that you have to graduate. Then the icing part, that's what I just talked about. We look at that as, okay, I know I have to have an endorsement. And then the stars, that represents the STAR test. Do you remember how many you have to take and pass? 5. Very good. So that's a total picture of everything you have to graduate. And then the last thing that I will talk to you about are the clubs and organizations that we have at the 9th grade campus. We have this flyer in your little booklet. It's super, super important to stay involved. Like if you're already gonna do your band, choir, orchestra, any of those fine arts, or you're already in athletics, that's a good way to start, because y'all, 4 of the junior highs are coming together. You're gonna meet so many new friends, so we want you to be involved. So if you're not already plugged in, make sure you look at these different the clubs that we have, and get involved. There's a lot of fun things. Some are offered at North, some at South. Okay, we're ready to start filling out your coursework.
All right. So everybody has something to write with. We prefer you do this in a pencil so you can make some changes, but go ahead and get out your long course selection card and the long white endorsement pathway sheet that Ms. Campo just showed you. You'll need both of those out. Please put your first and last name at the top with your ID number. Write as neatly as you can, because we're going to take a look at these during the summer. We want to be able to read your name. Your counselors have posted the due date for these, so if you want to go ahead and take a look at the white sheet, you can post the due date in the corner. Write the due date in the corner so you'll know when to submit it. We're going to need one of these from every 8th grader. Okay, and we're going to start with the yellow sheet first, so once your name is on everything, go ahead and put the yellow sheet on top. Right under your name, it's going to ask you for your endorsement. I know we've talked about that a lot during the presentation. If you remember what your endorsement is, go ahead and make a choice. You're welcome to select more than one if you think you're going to earn more than one. Lots of students do. And if you're not sure, like Ms. Campos shared, it should be a screenshot on your iPad from a survey you took with your counselors. You can take a look at that and get an idea what your answers were to that survey and what endorsement it was you selected in November. After that's done, go ahead and put your pencils down and look up here, because we're going to go through this part piece by piece. Ms. Campo and Ms. McCoy kind of gave you an entire high school overview, and now we're going to talk just about 9th grade and fill out your course selection sheet. This first section is going to be your core classes from 9th grade. We're going to go ahead and start with English. You can go ahead and check off if you want to do English 1 regular or English 1 pre-AP. If you did not do pre-AP language arts as an 8th grader, that doesn't mean you can't. In high school, there's a couple of things we want you to think about if you didn't do it as an 8th grader. Think about what kind of student you are. You know how you are as far as organization and keeping up with deadlines and getting your schoolwork turned in. We also want you to visit with your current language arts teacher. They've been teaching you all year. See what they have to say about it. And then also your families. Pre-AP is more of a commitment than a regular class, so make sure you have those conversations if you're going to commit to one, especially if you haven't already. There is also a summer reading requirement for English 1 Pre-AP. It's usually 2 or 3 novels that our English teachers expect for you to have read over the summer before 9th grade starts, so keep that in mind as well. Next thing is math. This is going to depend on the math class you're in now. So listen for your math class. If you're an 8th grade math student this year, you need to check off Algebra 1. That's what you'll take in 9th grade. If you're already in algebra, you're going to select geometry. And if you're already a geometry student, which maybe will just be a few of you, you'll select Algebra 2 for 9th grade. Let me say that one more time. If you're in 8th grade math, check off Algebra 1. If you're already in Algebra 1 this year, select geometry. And if you're in geometry, select Algebra 2. Coming over to science, same is true for science. It's going to depend on the one you're in right now. So if you're an 8th grade science student, you're going to be in IPC next year, Integrated Physics and Chemistry. If you're already in IPC, select biology. And then for social studies, like Ms. McCoy shared, you have a few more options. If you want to stay in a regular social studies class, your choices are world geography or world history. If maybe you're in pre-AP world geography this year, you want a little more challenge, you do have the option to take a pre-AP world geography class. It's not on your cards. You're going to write that in for us. So you can go ahead and select world geography pre-AP. If you want even more of a challenge and you're interested in the AP college level class that Ms. McCoy went over, you can go ahead and select that one. Remember all the things that she discussed about how you earn college credit in that class. It's not just by passing the class itself. You'll have to prepare and take that AP test at the end of the year, and that's how you earn the college credit. Make sure your parents are aware of all those things if you're signing up for human geography. So at this point, you should have all 4 core classes selected: math, science, English, and social studies. Are we good? In the middle of your yellow sheet, in the bold, right before we start the second part, there's a couple of sentences there I want you to read and circle for me. It talks about classes taught over at South Campus. Would you circle with your pencil that sentence in bold where it says courses with an asterisk? There are a handful of classes that 9th graders can take that are taught at the South Campus. We don't have them at North. You can tell what classes those are because they have 1 asterisk next to their name, and I'm talking about the bottom portion. We like for you guys to know and really pay attention to what those classes are because you're going to miss some class time. You're going to be taking a shuttle back and forth from North and South Campus, which means you miss about 10 minutes of the beginning of the class. It is your responsibility to keep up with any work you may have missed. So if that teacher does warm-ups that they take a grade on, or there's something important that they do right there at the beginning of class, which there usually is, it'll be your responsibility, maybe get a buddy in class, or touch base with that teacher during the week, communicate with them through email, whatever it takes to catch up. Plenty of our students do South Campus classes, North Campus classes that are taught at South, but you just need to be aware, and your parents need to be aware that you will be a little late when you're coming back from that bus trip. And then right underneath that, above it, it says if there's a class with 2 asterisks, that's a class that's only taught at North, meaning it's not even offered at South Campus. So I know you got a visit last month, I believe, from Mr. Barrier and Ms. Weaver, and talked about a lot of the CTE classes that the high school offers. If you heard something that really interested you, that you're for sure you want to take as a 9th grader, and you notice that it has 2 stars next to it, then you need to make sure that you get that class in for 9th grade because you're not going to be able to take that later. It's not even offered at South Campus. And once you're an upperclassman, 10th, 11th, and 12th grade at South, we don't bus you back for classes at North. So we make sure that you know what those classes are. We don't want you to miss out on something that you want to do, especially if it interests you. So keep that in mind when we're looking at the bottom portion. So now let's jump down. You've got 2 sides. You've already made 4 choices at the top. We do a 7 class period day at North, so how many more choices do we need to make?
3.
We can only make 3 choices down here. I'm going to go over every section. You're not going to have a room in your schedule to pick something from everything I talk about. No 9th grader does. You're going to have to make some decisions about what you want to do next year and what's gonna have to wait until 10th and 11th grade. And let me say this one thing too before we get into it. It's really important you pick the classes you wanna do. Even if your card matches perfectly with a friend of yours, it's very unlikely that you'll end up with classes together. So it's okay to talk about it and ask questions or visit with older siblings, but make sure that this yellow card reflects what you want to be a part of in 9th grade and not what a friend does. Make sense? On both of these, make sure you're not making 3 selections from just one side. That's probably not going to be a good schedule for you. So those 3 choices need to be from both sides at the bottom. I'm going to go through every section. It starts with a fine art listing, and Ms. McCoy went over these. If there's a fine art class listed there that you know you want to be a part of, maybe you're already doing it here and you want to do it in high school, band, choir, art, that's wonderful. Go ahead and make a selection. Remember, you only need 1 fine art credit to graduate. So if none of those things are something you're going to be a part of, you get to make the choice. Am I going to go ahead and start my fine art credit next year and just get it over with? Or am I going to do some other things and wait on it? So you may or may not pick something from there. Also, your foreign language. I may have some students in here that took Spanish credit by exam. You would have been pulled out of class and given a test in Spanish to see if you can test out a Spanish 1. If that's you, we don't want you to pick a foreign language credit for 9th grade because you tested out of it. In fact, we'll do the same thing next year that they did here for you in 8th grade. We'll pull you out of class and test you for Spanish 2, and you may not ever have to sit through a Spanish class. So if you took the Spanish credit by exam, don't choose a foreign language credit. If that wasn't you, then take a look at the list, because this is going to be the majority of us. We offer Spanish, French, and German in this district, and you get to make a choice. Do you want to go ahead and start in 9th grade? Remember, you do need 2 years of a foreign language credit to graduate, so if you started in 9th, you'll finish up that 2nd year as a 10th grader, or you can make the choice to wait until 10th grade to start your foreign language requirements. We do offer pre-AP versions of all of those if you want to do an advanced level of those classes, and we also offer Spanish for Spanish speakers. If you are bilingual and you can read and write Spanish, Spanish for Spanish speakers might be a better fit for you instead of just a regular Spanish 1 class, since you already know the language. Our computer science options are there as well if that's the route you want to take for foreign language. Now we're going to jump up to the top part and talk about the principal's classes that are listed there. These are our CTE classes. You've got a 1-sheet paper, happens to be blue for you guys, but it could be a different color, a different year. This talks about just 9th grade electives. So if you're looking at that list right here, but you're not quite sure what those classes mean, this gives a short description. So you can refer to that this afternoon or read through it as you're picking them. Also, when we go over the pathway sheet, we'll talk more about these classes because that pathway sheet, once you choose your career pathway, may help you figure out which principal's class to start with. That middle section on the right-hand side are just a handful of other electives. Like it's already been said, we do have Avid at North Campus. We've got some journalism classes, and those computer science options are listed there as well. So they're on both sides. Don't let that confuse you. And then that last part at the bottom are your PE choices. Remember, you need 1 year of a PE credit to graduate. Again, you can decide to take that next year, or you can hold off on it and take it later. Your choices are aerobic dance, boys and girls PE. If you want to do the military program we have, ROTC, that's listed for you. Let's talk about athletics, though. Who in here thinks they may want to play a sport in high school? A few of you? So, on your course selection sheet, what we're going to ask you to do is right next to athletics, would you write in the sport that you want to play? And if you want to play 2 sports, write in the sport that comes first in the school year. So for instance, if you want to do football and basketball, football comes first, so write football next to athletics and check it off for us. When it comes time to put in your course request into the computer, you're going to be able to put in whatever sport you want to play. However, that doesn't mean you get to stay in that sport. So you'll put in what sports you want to play. Those coaches will get the roster. They communicate with junior high coaches. Some of them even do some things over the summer. But then they submit a list of names to us, and we remove students that the coaches don't pick so you can get cut from the team. So you'll get to put it in. You may get to put in soccer, or swimming, or volleyball, whatever it is you hope to play, but just know when it comes time to pick up your schedule in the summer, you may see that that sport has been taken out and we've put in one of your backup classes, which I'm going to talk about next. So keep that in mind. Another reason why it's really, really great to attend the elective fair, all of those coaches, every sport will be represented. You can ask questions. Like I said, the ones that start things in the summer, you can visit with them and make sure you know what's going on so you won't miss out on that. So that's a really great opportunity to meet those coaches. At the bottom, would you circle for me the 2 blanks? I don't want you to forget to do that part. This is where you can put in alternate classes. It doesn't happen too often, but sometimes there's a class that fills up, meaning so many 8th graders pick it that we don't have room for everybody. So we're going to have to pull these cards, which we do all the time over the summer. And if your name was one that there just wasn't room for, so maybe one of these classes didn't work out, we're going to see what your backup choices were. We would rather put you in a class that you've listed as something you're okay with than just picking ourselves. And that's what we'll do if you leave this part blank. We'd like for you to take classes that you enjoy. So make sure you give us 2 alternates, 2 backups in case something else doesn't work out. So 4 choices at the top for your core classes, 3 choices at the bottom, and we need 2 backup classes. If you flip to the back, we'll get to it in just a second. This is some information for you and your parents to review this evening. There's 2 places for a signature. The top signature line is if you choose a class that's taught at South. One of those classes you have to ride the bus back and forth. We want your parents' signature so that we know that you and your parents understand you're going to miss a little bit of class time choosing that class. And then at the bottom, everyone signs here. And if you want to go ahead and put your signature there, that would be great. It would be a really smart idea to take all of this home this afternoon since it's fresh on your mind, discuss it with your parents, grandparents, whoever you live with, and have them go ahead and sign and go ahead and turn it into your school. What teacher do you guys are doing? ELA teachers?
Math.
Math teachers. Okay, so now we're going to take a look at your white endorsement pathway sheet. There's not a place for your parent signature on this, although there should be. So at the bottom, would you go ahead and write a line just to jog your memory and write parent sign and have your parents sign off on this tonight as well. All we want from you on this sheet is we want to get an idea of the endorsement and then the pathway under the endorsement that you're thinking about taking in high school. This does not lock you into anything. Anything you circle doesn't mean you have to take these classes. We know you're going to change your mind. That's why we had you do everything in pencil, okay? We just want an idea of what you're considering. We want you to try to pick 2. So I've got, if you want to flip one more, Ms. McCoy. Okay. So the way this packet is broken down, you'll see all 5 endorsements in there. You open it up, you're going to see arts and humanities, business and industry, public service. Beneath each of them are these little charts that we call pathways. So think about what endorsement you've chosen. If you're a public service endorsement, you need to flip to public service on the endorsement pathway sheet, and then find the chart that fits what you're interested in. So if you know you want to be a police officer, you're going to look for the law enforcement classes. Once you find that, you're just going to put a big circle around the pathway. I know everybody's looking. If you could just look up here one time so that I know that you know. Again, you're going to find your endorsement, find the chart, what we call a pathway, that matches what you're interested in. So if you're interested in being a teacher, find the teaching one. You're interested in being an architect, find the architecture one. And then circle it. You just want a big circle around that chart. Try to find at least 2 pathways you're interested in. Does that mean you have to take those classes next year if you circle it? No, it does not. We just like to have an idea of what you're considering. And try to do at least 2. This gets turned into your math teacher as well. So endorsement pathway sheet, in addition to your course selection sheet, Everyone in your paperwork should have a pre-AP, AP contract. This is something else that's due to your math teachers. If you're signing up for an AP or a pre-AP class, or you're even considering it, we do want your signatures on that contract as well. It gives your parents a lot of information about what's required in that class and also what it takes to get out of that class. So we need initials on all those lines, signatures on the bottom. One side is pre-AP, one side is AP. On the pre-AP side, they left off geometry. So if you're an algebra student, so you know you're taking geometry next year, you need to go ahead and write that in. It doesn't matter what box, just write in geometry. And then the last thing I wanted to talk about was the elective fair. I want to make sure that we're all aware that that's happening this week on Thursday. It's from 6 to 8 at South Campus. Every class that was talked about in this presentation, every athletic program that we mentioned, clubs and organizations, students that are involved in those, and even the sponsors, the teachers that are a part of that will be there. There's also a part where your parents can go to a parent assembly and listen to our assistant principals present this information while you're visiting tables. It's a really great opportunity for you to meet the teachers, ask questions, and see exactly what all of these classes are all about. We hope all of you guys can make it out on Thursday.